What's something you know to be 100% true that everyone else dismisses as a conspiracy theory? The art world is largely built around money laundering and tax evasion. That actually makes a lot of sense. Would explain a lot of the really simplistic art pieces that sell for millions. There's just so much talent to be found among wives of politicians who suddenly discovered painting as a hobby. K-pop was created by the South Korean government under suggestion from the IMF as an extra exportable industry to fix its balance of payments. It really happened that way. The government is actually watching everything you do. Now that doesn't mean there is some dude sitting at a computer looking over your internet history, but the government does have fuck tons of information about you on a server somewhere. The paradox is that a lot of people in the government don't know they have it, and the rest don't know what to even do with it. Wasn't that confirmed years ago? Stevie Wonder isn't blind. I did not see that coming. He did. It'll be back when this gets gold. The opioid epidemic in USA is from insurance companies being too cheap to pay for a real treatment. Throwing an injured worker Percocet is much cheaper than surgery/therapy at a research hospital. TBF, this isn't even a conspiracy anymore. Pretty sure it's widely acknowledged by a lot of people. Michael Jordan's first retirement was an unofficial suspension for betting on basketball. How do you know this to be 100% true? People are treating this thread like another what's your favorite conspiracy theory? Not everyone dismisses it, but the US government is still experimenting on its own citizens without their actual consent, but their implied consent. When Walmart employees go check in the back, they're actually just checking their social media for 5 minutes. Reddit on mobile is intentionally shit to try and get us to download their dumb app. I'm on the app right now, and it's shit too. Wendy is actually Ronald McDonald's bastard child that has sworn to take revenge by selling more burgers than him. Ronnie went out for smokes and never came back. That Ditto is a failed version of cloning Mew. Nah man, it's confirmed. They did actually find Amelia Earhart. About 10 years after her disappearance, a skeleton was found in the general area of her last known location that was identified as female of the correct age and race, which was located near a compass taken from an airplane. They couldn't 100% identify her though, so it got brushed aside in favor of the mystery. There's also a big theory that she survived the crash but died in a Japanese internment camp, but that also gets brushed aside. Most conspiracy theories, especially the crazier ones, are meant to discredit the real ones. I'm not sure about 100% true but definitely plausible. King Louis XIV of France allegedly held a special prisoner known as the Man in the Iron Mask because he always wore an iron mask. His face and name were never revealed to anyone. I think it was Voltaire who theorized that Louis didn't have proper royal descent, making him an illegitimate king, and that the Man in the Iron Mask was his real father. He wasn't gonna kill his own dad, so locked him in a room and made him wear a mask to stop the truth from getting out. I legit thought you were about to state the plot of the Leo movie for a second there. That my girlfriend is real Emma, she lives in Oklahoma, she's in college, so she can't visit. We talk every day. No, I'm not lying. No, I'm not. The billionaires are preparing for something big and it doesn't include us. It's a big club, and you ain't in it, George Carlin. The only reason why we are still in the Middle East is to harden our military, so that if we go to war with another nation our troops have battle experience. I think this is what Russia is doing with Ukraine now too. And to just project our military power, did you know the US embassy in Iraq is the largest embassy ever built by any nation? It's almost the size of Vatican City. We are there for the long haul. There's a cabal of very wealthy and influential psychopaths who control a good chunk of world politics. New members are introduced to, or encouraged by their own peers to partake in, pedophilia. They end up doing that, not just because they may be bored with their lives or enjoy hurting children, but also because this team-building exercise in the guise of underage sex parties allows their friends to get compromising material on them. It is an initiation ritual aimed at building trust between everybody involved. If almost every member of the cabal has dirt on everybody else, then they surely won't rat each other out. Psychopathy and power go hand in hand. This is practically confirmed in sociology studies. It's not that power turns people into psychopaths, but rather that it often takes psychopath-like traits to ascend to positions of power over others. I can't cite the relevant studies because I'm out right now, but there were some famous ones about the percent incidence of psychopaths in general population versus percent psychopaths in top leadership positions like CEOs of companies. Interesting stuff to read on. That Disney owns an adult film industry. They just don't affiliate their names with it. I've told this to many people, and look at me in horror like I just killed their child. Pornhub, maybe? The earth is round, gravity is 100% real. Flood insurance rates are a cycle to churn properties for big banks. We're in the very beginning of the bank accumulating property phase now. It goes like this. 1. Flood insurance is cheap. Waterfront, flood zone, property values go up. 2. Current stage of the cycle, flood insurance rates start to creep up. They are currently going up 25% a year until they reach their true rate, meaning they'll keep getting risen until the banks get what they want. 3. Starting to see this. People sell their flood zone properties because they become unaffordable. That is, you have a rental property that's clearing $250 a month. Then your flood insurance goes up $100 a month. And it's going to up next year. And the year after that, people will start selling. This hurts property values. 4. This is where the banks clean up. Property prices drop so low that people can't afford to sell. So they have to short sell or sell for a loss, if they can sell at all. Otherwise the bank forecloses. The bottom falls out of the market and prices plummet because insurance rates are too high. 5. The banks accumulate thousands and thousands of these undervalued properties. 6. Now, the banks have to sell these things. If only there was a way to sell these properties. Oh yeah. Let's reduce flood insurance rates and give the market a boost. This is where the cycle repeats. A couple things to note. The big giant $1 million homes aren't really affected by this. The owners are usually wealthy enough to afford the flood insurance rates, or own a house outright, and don't need to carry insurance. The banks and the government are basically the same entity in this circumstance. A lot of houses in flood zones are huge neighborhoods that just happen to be low-lying and can be miles away from waterfront. So, poor neighborhoods get hit the hardest by this. I've also seen these banks get foreclosed houses and just let them go to hell, not winterizing, and pipes burst, basement floods, etc. A house will go for $250,000, then 4 years later, and 2 years vacant and full of mold, it won't sell for $60,000. That always bugs the shit out of me. I'm a realtor and the house next door was vacant. I tried to figure out who owned it for 4 years. Public records was wrong. I even asked lawyers and all that. Then one day it just went up for sale. The house sat vacant the whole time. I watched it go from fixable to being a teardown. The banks use humongous large-scale accounting practices to write off losses, and they have a stack of thousands of houses to sell. So if the house is on bottom of the pile, it has to wait for its turn to get sold. The sales price makes little difference to a bank when they are dealing with such high volume. They can get away with any type of accounting shenanigans they can dream up. Okay, this makes sense, they are still getting their money anyways. I always wondered why they couldn't hire someone to take care of things like some banks do. Those chemicals did turn the frogs gay. Yeah, Alex Jones was right. Atrazine fucks with reproductive organs in frogs, and a government agency was polluting local waters with the chemical. Wasn't Alex Jones also right about Epstein and Pedo Island? Not that I'm keeping score. Phones do listen to your conversations, and they do recommend ads based on it. Know this because I tested it several times with wildly different subjects with several friends by just repeating stuff like I need to a car right now. Damn, I wish I could rent a cheap car nearby etc for about 5 minutes. That kind of thing. Oh yeah, this is not a conspiracy at all. Definitely factual. When you download an app and it asks for permission to access your microphone, that's exactly what's going on. Conspiracy doesn't mean false. We'll go extinct before we can ever colonize other planets. Yes, but for a short period of time we generated income for our investors. We are running out of antibiotics. Bacteria are developing resistances faster than we can produce new ones. At the current rate, we'll run out within the next 50 years. We've already exhausted the first ones we developed, like early types of penicillin. It's not all bad, though. If we rotate what we have and invest in developing more, we can prolong the deadline indefinitely. Regardless, when your doctor tells you to take your antibiotics for the full prescribed duration and to dispose of them safely at a pharmacy, you should fucking listen. Source: Biologist. The bachelor course on pathogenic bacteria covered this. It's not a conspiracy theory though. It's pretty well known we're potentially approaching a post-antibiotic time. As the other commenter said, there are other technologies being developed to replace antibiotics. Justin Trudeau never wore blackface. That's a picture of him without the makeup. It's actually whiteface that he's been wearing all along. Reagan conspired with Iran to delay the release of the hostages, thereby allowing him to win the presidency from Carter. I know this because all of the contacts he established in this act of treason were later used to illegally sell anti-tank missiles to Iran in yet another act of treason. This has already been confirmed. It's still considered a theory, mostly because the main players are adverse to admitting to literal treason. Social media, especially Snapchat and Instagram, exist in part to make us more comfortable with events in our lives being publicly known, which in turn makes us okay with losing privacy from government surveillance. That my ex-wife along with others including my employee plotted to murder me, all while filming porn at my house while I was at work. You okay, bro? Nobody likes celery. You're just pretending. My guinea pigs would beg to differ.